A lot to play for this year proper, and it all starts now as we're dealing with the Appalachian region for our first overall matchup. Appalachian. I don't know. We got flamed for how we were pronouncing it, but it's Appalachian. The majority spoke, and that's how it's pronounced. That's what I'm sticking with.
Apple aching? You know what?
Good one. I
Whatever it
like
may
that
be.
one.
Appellation is what we're going to be hopping in here. Yes, that is the region within the Southeast Conference for this match here. And I came in front with you, Shift. I mean, between this and everything else that your wonderful voice just described as far as the format is concerned, you want to have a good regular season. You want to have a good first split, but that doesn't mean that you're out of it yet. So I know
Right.
that these are collegiate athletes, right? You're gonna be focusing on your studies first and being a competitive Call of Duty player secondly, but it also gives you the time to not only learn of course for your studies throughout the regular season in through that first split, but be able to better yourself ahead of that second split because you want to make it towards those playoffs at the end of
Very much so. So for the Ohio State Scarlet team and Liberty Red, where are we going to be playing today? That's the real question. Well, right up top there, you're going to see all of the different map mode combinations that we have. Starting off with the Garrison Hardpoint. Raid will be there for our search and destroy, and we'll at least see the Garrison control. Now, we may have been starting a little bit of an alpha stream jinx because we had 3-0s all day yesterday for the three matches that we had. We're hoping we get something a little bit more closely contested here. And if it does get closely contested, Map 4 will go back to Raid for the hard point, and then we'll have Moscow for the search and destroy. Now, it's one of those things that just to bring up the whole mention for Liberty Red, very solid year last year, pretty darn good, really not bad whatsoever. For Ohio State, though, I would say a little disappointing after they played really, really well in season one. They fell pretty fall off when it came down to what happened to season two. So looking to bounce back in a big way, and apparently their roster this year not to be trifled with.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's saying in the Discord. I haven't been able to watch too many CCL scrims apart from when I like clowning inside Mr. J Pistachio's stream. But but apart from that, I mean, it seems to be the talk of the land as far as this Appalachian region is concerned. In between the two different divisions, that yes, this OSU Scarlet team is one not to be trifled with. I mean, when you're thinking about it, this is one of those regions. This is one of those divisions, if you will, that can be very much so up in the air. You don't
Yeah.
really have a definitive, this is the team that you got to be watching out for. Of course, there will be a couple of strong teams within it, but it's not going to be like a clear cut. This is the top three. This is one that could definitely be thrown up there. So I'm very excited to be able to see what these two teams have to offer us, what their SMG lineup and what the ARs are going to be looking like, because that's really what it's going to come down to, especially once we do get to that garrison control.
Very much so the case. I mean, these first three maps, really, I mean, it could be really dominated by what happens up front with the SMGs. So, yeah, a lot of considerations as far as how that's going. But Liberty Red roster, still very veteran when it comes down to when we first saw them in season one. I don't know if they played in season zero. I wasn't around for that, but they definitely played during season one. A lot of the guys still coming back to play for at least one more season. So, it's one of those things that's really kind of interesting. We don't get a lot of time to really break down the rosters just because, let's be honest, there's 180 teams this year. It's hard to track all the players that are going to be playing. But for a lot of the formidable schools that we've seen from season one, season two, and even those that are coming back into season three with a lot of kind of power behind what their ranking might be able to showcase for their regions, a lot of it is because they're playing with a lot of the same players. Now, we're also seeing a number of schools that have fallen off pretty considerably and others that are coming back with a fury from season two to season three. So it'll be interesting. I think this matchup is a difficult one for both of these squads. Definitely not one you want to just kind of brush aside. A big first win could come into play here for this division specifically, because again, you want to try to get in that top cut. And if you're able to beat one of your other major competitors in this region just to start your season, you're feeling pretty confident about what you could do to try to get through the rest of those schools in the next couple of weeks to make sure that you do lock in at least that top cut, if not maybe a good spot and a good chance for playoffs.
Yeah, and that all starts with having, a great start to the first split, just like what you're talking about right there. It's just one of those things you got to be aware of that some teams really fell short at the
Yeah.
end of last season because they didn't have a good starting of their season, but they had a really strong finishing. And you obviously want to be able to learn and progress as the season goes along, but to be able to hit the ground running, that's where you could really get ahead of your entire group, your entire division, the region, all everything else in between, so that way you can start feeling good ahead of playoffs. So you can start focusing on being a little bit more nitpicky to what you're doing across the map. But speaking of just that, here we go. First map of the night, day two, season three here of the first week of CCL. Liberty Red versus OSU Scarlet.
It'll be again Ohio State as the home team in their respective red. Liberty as the away team here will be in the white and slightly off red, and Curb will find first blood. Again, you've got Curb and DK Roarer. Dan has been, again, locking things down. I've been able to watch him play with this M4. He's pretty darn nasty with it, so that's a really good start for what they have to offer. But at the same point, there's a lot of conversation about what Rush, Cynical, Dr. Ron, and Trev bring to the table this year. Not the same names that we've known from before. And of course, for Liberty, you also have Toddy McBuckets. He's going backwards, but it's Toddy. So again, 3 of the 4 to 5 guys that we've really come to know and for some of us love in the last couple of years of the CCL.
And for Liberty Red too, I mean, I was about to say, speak about an engagement that was happening off screen. I mean, when you're starting off on the side of the map, you're going to be mostly looking towards the top green control for either side. And for OSU Scarlet, once we do come to a close here for P1, they will be in control of that area for the time being, but 2 quick kills do start to come on through. It's going to be Trev and Co. OSU Scarlet, as P2 does come to pop, will be in their control. And this could be where you can really start to see a lead come and break through for this map. Liberty Red are going to be setting up for a break.
And how about the position for Cynical? He's just watching the long cross. So much information for his teammates, but they will lose spawns in the back. So now it just comes down to responding to this hit coming through bricks. Doctor trying to get through will be taken out just inside of the cobble loading area. So now for Toddy and the rest of Liberty Red, they're on their way forward. A lot of team shots just coming in there for Toddy, and it actually does allow Mental an opportunity to kind of hold strong. And well, Rush, even though he finds 2 kills, it will still be Liberty Red on the break.
20 seconds left to play. This is scrap time, and when you're thinking about this, especially from Ohio State's perspective, you don't necessarily want to be throwing numbers towards P2. You're going to be looking past that. You're going to be hitting through the center of the map and setting up for P3, which is where you see their little arrows on the mini-map setting up right now. But because you have Liberty Red set up towards the center of the map, you're going to be able to find a couple kills. Cynical and Rush actually spawn out closer towards P5. So you're going to be really hoping here that the 2 players that are alive for OSU Scarlet can stay alive as long as possible. Mental and Curb won't allow them to do so, but at least some help does come through the back, and Liberty Red, for the time being, are inside this hill.
Yeah, nobody from Liberty decided to scout out the deep backside, so Trev just staying alive will allow the Buckeyes to spawn in 1 more time. They could actually 2 more times because there are players from Liberty still trying to make their way through caution. Mental on 7 in a row, 10 in 2. What a start he has. He's already got himself an artillery strike working for the cruise missile, and he will find it with a free kill just from the side. Now back to the front. No, not going to get more than that. Rush puts him down, and he actually finds a little bit of fire as he will go 3 in a row. That should be the scrap time also generated for the Buckeyes.
It's going to give him the opportunity to start pushing forward. Rush now with 4 straight 8 and 7 XM4 in hand. And again, ever since the AK-47 has been GA, that has really been the weapon that a lot of ARs can start to feel a little bit more comfortable. You can get aggressive. That mid-range is a little bit better than comparatively for your main AR that's sometimes running a Crig 6, but it's really upped the pace as far as how Cold War is played, and well, players like Rush are able to absolutely flourish in said difference for how the weapons are set up. But inside P4, the trash hill is out, and just within the first 10 seconds, Liberty Red are going to be looking for their setup, but the hits coming through the main doors, 2 quick kills do get traded out in succession, so Buckeyes going to have to wait for the respawns before they try to hit this 1 more time.
Toddy watching from backside, caution. Is tagged up, has to wait for the region. He will be allowed it. Mental working with him. So they're trying to push their way across. Travis able to watch one side of it, but Cynical still falling. Means that there are numbers here for the Liberty Flames. Rush the corner, able to find another kill of his own. Trying to stay even through this. Toddy! Oh boy, 4 in a row for him. A little spinorama. And now 1 more up close. Picks up the M4. Needed maybe 1 or 2 more shots to take care of Cynical. And with that, Curve is now tasked to try to lock down the scrap time. And he will be unsuccessful in the feat.
This was a really scary moment for the Buckeyes, too. You spent just the majority of P4 just trying to work your way out of the spawn. So, Liberty Red, although they will end up losing this gunfight, I mean, they're still going to be in a good spot to at least set up for P5, but you got to read the hit that's coming through the brick and cobblestone area. Curb's going to be able to read that Cynical was coming out of dark, but so far, no real members from either of these teams really getting a strong go-ahead as far as getting this time on P5 is concerned, but a very competitive hard point nevertheless. Just 3 seconds in between these 2 teams. Now Liberty Red looking to set themselves up in P5, and the hit from OSU Scarlet coming through the front.
Nice kills coming out. Mental even able to swap over to the Diamante to make sure he's able to lock down 2, making sure that Toddy really only needs to find the final kill, and he does so very successfully. Now Dan coming from the backside of lights, able to find 1. Semtex are actually going to be a Semtex from Dr. Run. He actually takes himself down there. A little bit of a mistake in the mix. 15 seconds with the scrap time. Roarer has to make his way forward, able to tag the toes of one. Cynical at range will find himself a second. Trev nearby. Is he good for 3? No! Trev caught maybe with the Semtex out for a time, but still the trade will be there as Curb's able to punish. It's going to be Liberty. After the first rotation of Hills have come and gone, they will be up by about 20 points.
And it was a good bounce back from Liberty Red. Remember how the setup from 1 to 2 went? It was all the Buckeyes, but then once they found themselves inside P3 and then the setup for P4 where they kept OSU Scarlet trapped over inside the P3 spawns, Liberty Red were able to absolutely come to life. And that's where you find themselves here in a 30-second lead. But OSU Scarlet coming back into the mix. They're looking to keep P1 contested and in their favor as well. They will have a slight easy rotation up towards top green, but that's where Toddy's already located at. The 74U is going to be able to take down Rush, and the hit from Lights. Cynical not going to be able to stay alive from long as Roar just absolutely rips their head off. One more in front. For Mental will be able to take them down. 20 seconds remaining inside P1. And for the setup and rotation over towards Snoo, it's starting to look a little good for Liberty Red.
Yeah, really nice bounce back, and a lot of it has been from Mental. 19-9. Cynical will double up. That'll leave an opportunity for the Buckeyes to get in. But Toddy from the pinch, he finds one. Trev tagged down low, goes for a second challenge. He falls. Now all of a sudden, the Liberty Flames have an avenue to move right on over to the second hard point. Maybe a bit unfortunate that they were able to successfully hold down the P2 spawns, but they can still threaten this additional time. So for Dr. Round, he's going to hold backside Sat Truck. He's going to have a little bit of help, but it's only in the form of Trev. Will that even be required, though? Doctor, good for one. Pistol, good for the second. And the hit coming from behind has also been thwarted. Maybe for only a small time, though, as Toddy and Mental have worked their way through. And once again, the Liberty Flames break back in, and they're right onto their winning ways.
Yeah, and the SMG presence for Liberty Red is just absolutely astounding. You already talked about Mental. Now they're up to 21-19. There's number 3 for them in this life. It just seems to be spree after spree for Mental, and especially for Garrison Hardpoint, as Mental just finds another one before being cut down themselves. But, you know, as you're looking at Garrison Hardpoint again, you can absolutely flourish as an SMG player, and Mental is showcasing that. Always finding these nooks and crannies and always just pinching OSU Scarlet from the side, while you have your ARs like Roar just being able to play this XM4 role so wonderfully. Makes your time so much more easier when you're trying to look for these rotations. And speaking of that, looking towards P3, Liberty Red are here. For the Buckeyes, though, they're looking to hit this at least from the north side of the east.
Toddy's able to go 1 for 1. Spawns have been blocked. They're not fully flipped, but it's a 50-50. You see those players coming across your minimap in the middle. It's going to be down to who can actually lock this time down to the back. Dr. Round, has he maybe cleared enough space here for Ohio State to spawn in? The answer, no. And with the spawns being so far blocked, that it actually allows Liberty to spawn a couple more members right next to those Ohio State Scarlet Buckeyes that were sitting in the back. So that'll be good enough for Liberty to get it back into the hard point. 30 seconds of the time means that for Ohio State, they can hit this one last time. Roar pinched up, won't find anything. Rush able to get through, but only for 1. Dr. Round, he's good for a first. Cynical on the pinch, able to help out, and knowing his teammates are spawning in the back, that should be the back 12 seconds going over to the Ohio State University.
It will, but this is exactly the same place that they found themselves in the first set of hills. I'm sure you remember, Alan, that for about 3 different hits towards P4, Ohio State Buckeyes, they got themselves trapped inside P3. So early kills would absolutely benefit you here. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but you still have to worry about Roar. And you have another player here with Toddy up on the catwalk as well. Rush finds 2. Those are big kills coming through for Ohio State Buckeyes, so that way they can move forward. And they're starting to soak up the time here on P4.
Roar, good for 2 shot punches, but his special play will be cut down a bit short. And really, even though he finds the kills, it's still going to be a 50-50 battle for this middle of the hard point. 162 to 187. Cynical watching the cross, trying to open up some space for his SMGs to make a play. Curb on the pinch has been read. Cynical able to respond. Trev there to assist as both M4s will get a little bit of team damage in. And now it's just down to where is Toddy gone? There he is. Cynical's able to find 2. And now that we're in the scrap time, how about Ohio State? They're not just taking a lot of time here from P4, but they're locking down the rotation to go back towards square for 5. And if they can get to the curtains at a tie game, they might put curtains on this game with the full 60.
Rush to the 74U, trying to stay alive. 114 HP is going to be able to lock down Mental towards the middle of the map. Like you talked about, the rotation is going to be here because the spawns for Ohio State Buckeyes are going to be that much better, so they will be here for the initial time. But look out, Mental actually got a very close spawn in towards P5. This could be a little bit of an upsetting for a pinch. I mean, given off of where everybody's standing on the map, the game really didn't know what to do there, Shift, so it's going to spawn you north and south. This is over by P2, and you're going to be in a really tough situation now. Again, the Buckeyes, they had the rotation, but because of those spawns, Liberty Red, they got a very unique pinch setup, so they will be able to thwart at least the initial time. But coming right back into the mix, the Buckeyes, they're not done fighting yet.
Dr. Round wants to make a play, able to get on in. Can he find a second? No, Mental good for it from the side door by Bricks. Now sliding over to the forklift. He's going to stay safe for now. Teammates trying to reinforce. Dead tie game. And with that, it will be a contested hard point for at least a moment. Russian lights, though. How good has he been? 28 and 29 coming through with big kills when they matter. Dr. Round off his spawn will take down the pistol-wielding Curb, and Ohio State will retake the lead. But more importantly, look at the mini-map. All the Buckeyes surrounding this first hard point, unless Toddy has something to say about it, and boy does he. There's one looking for a second. No, Trev responds to it beautifully for a second kill. Him and Dr. Round get a full wipe, and the Buckeyes looking to put nails down in the coffin.
I could absolutely close it out here. You only need 40 seconds left, and there's more than an ample amount of time inside P1 to just to be able to do so. If you can continue to find these kills, big 2-for-1 trade. Cynical has been frying for the Buckeyes at 32 and 27. They will come back into the mix now. Contested hardpoint for the time being. Rush trying to keep themselves alive. He's going to be able to take down Roar. Got one more, two more to the side. Will be a little bit of a trade, but for Ohio State Buckeyes, with the 20 seconds remaining inside this hill, you're not going to be able to close it out here. You're going to have to at least focus on towards a rotation towards new.
They're going to be there first is the thing. Cynical's going to watch this cross. It's going to be so difficult for the Liberty Flames to do much of anything. Full four-man wipe. Ohio State will strike first of the series. What a competitive series it was at that. Cynical and Dr. Round will finish the game on 5 sprees each, 10 collective between them for the 250-206 win.
Yeah, and it was the SMG presence from Liberty Red versus the AR presence there towards the end for Ohio State. I mean, Cynical, again, just absolutely frying, and you also have Rush just being able to go on an absolute tear like you're seeing right here. From a lot of different times, we saw them popping off of the 74U there at the end, but even being able to play with the XM4 was also just a beautiful sight to be able to see for Ohio State's success. And when you're able to end up finding that much value with a few different weapons from a few different members, well, that's Garrison Hardpoint, baby. You can be able to break inside the hills. You can put your ARs inside a power position continuously is what we saw from Ohio State, but that all came through from the SMGs finding very influential kills.
Yeah, what an improvement just from season 2 to season 3, just on this individual roster for the Ohio State Scarlet team, because my goodness, I mean, there had to have been a lot of frustrating moments last year. There were a couple of really nice kind of gems in the rough, but the rough was overcoming the gems. Now all of a sudden we realized that the rough was sitting on top of a diamond mine. We've got diamonds all over the place. I don't know where this the geology reference is going. That's geology, right? Study of stones is geology.
You got it.
Nice, good. Knock that one out of the park. But for Ohio State, they're looking much improved without question. On the other side, though, how about Liberty Red putting up a huge fight? And really kind of surprisingly, it was Curb who, I won't say let the team down, but I think he finished like 19 and 33. He was trying to do a lot of work on the objective. And you mentioned the fact that Ohio State's ARs were just not allowing him any space to breathe whatsoever. And that, for me, and I think for you as well, was really the difference maker in how that game turned around for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about the OBJ player, I mean, you would have loved to be able to sit there, get 2 minutes of hill time, and as a 74U player, you're almost looking to at least be able to trade your life out for 1, if not 2, while you're on that hill before the backup does start to arrive. And you will not almost have to think that if you put your coins inside this basket, that if Mental was inside the hill just trying to work it with Curb, you might have been able to see a little bit of a difference maker. But for those ARs, like we were talking about for Ohio State, we're always just in such a keen spot to be able to shut down that from range. And once you have those areas locked down, the SMGs from Ohio State could then work their way in to be able to break those hills. But Mental, not that they were doing anything wrong, it's just a different instance that if they were playing inside the hill, maybe you would have seen a little bit more success. Mental was playing their role wonderfully of just trying to create the space. So trying to do everything that Ohio State Scarlet was doing throughout the entirety of the map, which is why there towards the tail end, they were able to really get a good grip as far as rotations and map presence alone. But that's the Garrison Hardpoint done and dusted, 250-206 in Ohio State's favor. Very competitive one at that, looking to continue onwards with just that inside the raid search and destroy on.
And it will be, again, like you mentioned, it need to be a bounce back, you feel like, for Liberty, because let's be honest, if Ohio State continues to find that much success on Garrison Respawn, that's what's coming up for map number 3. So, again, it's too early to say this is a must-win map for Liberty Red, but I'm sure they would love to have that to give them a little bit of breathing room and potentially go back to raid again, where we will be playing hardpoint. So, I don't know. We're just kind of speculating, throwing out some absolute assumptions at the moment. But we are loading in, so let's get straight to it. We got raid for the search and destroy here. The Ohio State Scarlet Buckeyes looking really good in that first map. A little bit of a bounce back after they were down early. And for Liberty, can they find a way to maybe take charge here in the raid? Here we go. Loading straight on in, and it will be Ohio State on the offense first.
Very interesting search and destroy map. Because, I mean, through the middle of the map defensively, you will get through Kitchen and the rocks first. I mean, it seems that Ohio State, the Buckeyes, they understand that fully. They're actually going to be playing patiently outside of red, and Trev's actually going to need a shot over by driveway. Just a little poke and prod, trying to find information from the defensive setup of Liberty Red before committing towards the side. And it's looking like a rotation over towards A might be the call.
The thing about this is Curb is going to be playing from inside money window, and Toddy, depending on his timing, he could blow this play up by sitting mid-map and hitting a cut. So for the Buckeyes, you have to be very cautious about this pinch. Dr. Round's going to try to get this bomb planted, and actually Rush finds a shot. I don't know what he used to get that, but it was from top window. Roar able to find one as he takes his place previously in that money window, but the bomb is already planted with 36 seconds to go. Cynical takes down Toddy off the pinch, so now for Liberty, it has to come from the hit, from the front.
Roar dropping out from that window, knows that there's a player inside of bedroom. 24 seconds to try to make a play, and it looks like Roar in a last-second attempt go pinch us up from mid. Cynical, like you talked, was there previously, will lose their life off screen. Mental inside Tiki Bar just trying to make a presence felt as the regen does come through for Roar, and we only got 10 seconds left before you can try to find these kills, and it's just do or die situation there. It was running out of time, to say the least, in that odd situation, but it will be OSU that take the first round.
Very difficult losing, I'd say, Toddy early in this exchange. There's that first blood. That's from Rush over to Toddy, or to, pardon me, to Curb, who's playing over by the cutout. But you lose Toddy at that point in time, you don't have the ability to stop a post plant from getting set up in top bedroom. So
Right.
really, really tough, I think, from that point on, with Liberty being in a 2v3 to try to retake after the bomb had already been planted. So now their time for a first offense. It looks like it's going to be a heavy stack over towards B.
Previously, I mean, for the Buckeyes, they waited for information, but Liberty Red, they're just wanting to hit this all the more further. And you had Rush for first blood. I mean, that's going to come through towards the center of the map, and it's going to be a very unique pinch. Toddy's looking to hold down Red, can't get away with their life. Rush and Dr. Round just start making all the dominoes fall over. Liberty Red had no chance in trying to hit that site as quickly as they tried.
Yeah, big pinch coming through from the middle of the map. We're going to see this from Dr. Round's perspective, where, by the way, he's just running an SMG in Laundry, not a traditional spot.
Oh.
But as the look, I mean, look where Rush and Cynical are right there with their names. They flip around the backside of Art, which for Liberty, the only play that's available for you is to try to push through, because you don't have the ability to retreat back to top red. So
Right.
it's just kind of a tough situation, and Dr. Round is able to really capitalize with two players who walked right in front of him, again, with the 74U in hand. So now this time, it'll be the Ohio State Buckeyes making a play. Looks like to be over to B, at least initially. And Rush has been a huge lockdown player. Him with the Krig, looking to do so once more. First shots coming through. It's Roar to find first blood. You also have Toddy hitting a pinch, and now all of a sudden, shoes on the other foot. Ohio State's the team that's caught over by Spiral, and they get put into the blender.
Yeah, I mean, they get put in the blender for all the wrong reasons. I mean, they 4 players stacked towards the BS&D site. You had all 4 players in and around Spiral. There was nobody towards Red to even be aware of the pinch, to be even aware of the middle of the map. They just wanted to commit to potentially towards the BS&D site, and who's to say they weren't trying to go for a full wraparound? I've seen that time and time again, to where you try to commit towards the BS&D site, you find a good couple kills from Spiral inside of Laundry, and then you just hit it into jungle, and then you wrap all the way around from basketball courts, and that makes the players that are through the middle of the map almost obsolete. But you got to hit it fast, and you got to be able to find those kills. 2 things of which OSU Scarlet did not accomplish at the same time. So Liberty Red now back on the offense. We'll leave Toddy towards the middle of the map. Want this BS&D sniper rush for first blood.
Mental is on 3 in a row. Down to 4 HP. Has to stay alive. Cynical, I imagine, has an M4. He's likely watching the cross. And how about Dr. Round, number 4? He's playing the long flank around the back. And for, again, Liberty, you got to push through this, and they do. This time they take care of Trev, but Dr. Round able to find one. The trade will be there, leaving things down to Cynical for a 1v2. And I believe he knows there are players nearby. That should be an easy kill, but it isn't. Has to take the challenge on the bomb planter. Finds the elimination, but Toddy has finesse. Topside Spiral. Completely bamboozling Cynical, not giving him a look, and Liberty have tied this game up 2-2.
And Curb actually played a really big role at the opening rip here shift. They ended up just pushing straight up through the staircase, adjacent to the BS&D site, and pinched inside of Laundry, able to find a opening kill along the way. And it's from that little pinch that just made the positioning from Liberty Red all the more potent. And Toddy coming through the middle of the map was just watching that cross all the way through, found 3 kills. Going to be able to find themselves in a very good go-ahead of things, and a big bounce back after the opening 2 rounds from Ohio State. Now looking for an offense here this time around. Dr. Round will be waiting for the hit to come on through. Does have the bomb, so they got to be careful not to drop it here. But they do know that at least one player is hitting it from the middle of the map.
Roar does find first blood. Trev collecting the bomb. And Cynical finds a trade. That's a massive one over the middle of the map. That's going to force, all of a sudden, Liberty to have to make a call. And Curb has got a Krig. He's playing tight towels. Hello, goodbye. Hello, good night. Not quite able to find the second. So Trev responds and we go 2v2.
Hello. All right, so it's in the 2v2. Got Trev 4. Was able to collect the bomb, but with Liberty Red, they know where this is going to be coming from. They know where these players might be located at. Even looking at the mini map, Mental is just over by Zig. Now going to go ahead and just backtrack. I wonder if they ended up throwing a bow and saw these two players coming around. So now Mental is laying prone just on that balcony side. The hit's got to come through now. You're only down to 15 seconds. Mental here's that something's up. Trigger discipline might come back to bite you in the rear. Cynical from the driveway is able to take Mental down. The bomb will be dropped here at B.
Oh, it's a nice angle from Roar, but Cynical was in tune with it, making sure nothing hit through the pillars. It's a nice pickup of the pinch and really just split-second unfortunate timing here for Mental. Yeah, I don't know if Cynical heard something or if he was just double-checking to make sure that Trev was safe. Maybe he wanted to check over the pillars, but regardless, Cynical walks away with both kills while Trev was diligently trying to get the explosive planted. So with that, Ohio State find themselves now in a 3-2 advantage. 3 kills in a row, though, for Cynical.
Might just be at this point in time where it might just go back and forth, and this is where adaptations and being able to read your opponent and search and destroy has to come on through. A big fundamental as far as playing search and destroy is concerned. And through the middle of the map, looks like Liberty Red want to fly. Opening shots do come through from Kitchen, but not good enough for a kill. And down the open staircase, Liberty Red will go.
Timing on this peak is everything, and Mental just able to find the top of Cynical's head. Bomb is being stuck now. Rush is nearby. He's actually going to come out of window to try to challenge this. He's got a 74 U in hand. He'll find the kill, but Toddy should get the trade. He will. Now it's just down to trying to find where the rest of these Buckeyes are if you're a Liberty fan, because Trev has snuck into the basketball court. And then beyond that, Dr. Round is trying to pinch through Kitchen. They successfully clear one side. Mental, 1v2, almost a chance to make it a 1v1, but gets shrugged off. Knows he needs to try to check the defuse, but Trev has just started to hop in. Dr. Round going to take the challenge. The shot punch is good. He's going to step up for the fight for the trade, and Trev will get there just in the nick of time. Plenty of time for the kill and the defuse. And with that, the Buckeyes go up 4-2.
You got to think if Mental found that first kill coming through the money window, probably would have been looking at a round win. But, you know, real heads-up play there from Trev, and not just to stick the bomb, but to be able to come play for the trade knowing that their teammate had got some early damage. And, I mean, Cynical, again, just finding this timing of the engagement like you were talking about, it was just about everything. They were able to see multiple players working their way over towards the AS&D site, allowed for Ohio State to then rotate on over to reinforce that site itself and able to play for the retake. They were able to find themselves in a round win, now leading 2 rounds, 4-2, into round number 7. This time around, Ohio State, they're wanting to hit through the middle of the map very quickly. Cynical takes down Toddy for first blood. That's towards the center.
Yeah, this Ohio State team is not letting up any sort of aggression whatsoever, are they? It's dominating the middle of the map. Mental nearby. Dr. Round, I don't know if he actually threw enough of a shoulder to see Mental hiding in this corner. The rest of Liberty are trying to get here to help them, and help they have. Curb for 1, Cynical down to 1 shot. That'll be Roar for the kill. And Dr. Run has to get out of dodge, but he's being chased. And as he comes around the corner, Curb will find his second kill this life, leaving things down to a 1v3 potential opportunity for Trev with 45 seconds to play.
Keyword, potential. Easier things, I'm sure, have been done. Checking all sorts of corners, and we'll actually see Roar just last second, but that's information that's going to be good for Roar and Liberty Red. Bomb will be collected. 27 seconds. Isolated gunfight down to 50 HP. He's going to be able to lock down that kill on a Mental. Someone's got to think. I mean, time is just absolutely escaping them. Once they hit this over towards the B or the AS&D site, excuse me, we know because of the mini map, the X-ray, and everything else in between, that was not the best play available. Will be a round win, nevertheless. For Liberty Red, making this close yet again in between these past 2 rounds, being able to find those trade kills going over towards Kitchen where the bomb was dropped, left in a very tough situation.
Required round right there, by the way, for the Liberty Flames.
Yeah, sure was.
Going down 5-2 is essentially just starting to write your last will and testament. So even this round, a swing round right here. 5-3 is not much better. So for the Liberty Flames on this offensive hit, you need to be successful, I think, in a lot of people's minds. And they're going to just triple stack over to B. Keep Toddy watching over the middle, and Mental does well to find first blood on the rush. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the Buckeyes to respond to this defensively. Dr. Round, long range. Rory able to find him. Will push him back. Trev looking to watch across. And then the 1v1 mid-map. Toddy's also able to take that versus Cynical. So now 4v2. Big round here for Liberty.
Yeah, and look at this. For Liberty Red, they're actually wanting to hit this all the way past Laundry. Mental does get traded out by Trev, but there's Roar. Going to be able to at least find that kill in Trev. Now leaving Dr. Round in a 1v3. Very tough spot to be in. The bomb will be planted here at B. Dr. Round potentially looking for an exit frag. Gives up the pillars at the most inopportune time. And I would have loved that play to come on through, but...
He's being looked at from behind.
Yeah. The pinch is all going to be there, but... Oh. Shots coming through on towards Roars and side of top Laundry, but Dr. Round just pirouetting, trying to make a play happen, just trying to keep their head on a swivel. Good shots coming through from both sides. That trophy system will snatch that Semtex out of their hand, and Dr. Round just trying to isolate this kill. At least trying to find isolated 1v1s. There's not enough time anymore to be able to find these kills plus the defuse. So Liberty Red are able to keep this close and even things up in 4 apiece.
Look, I'm just going to put myself out there. One of the first days of CCL 8s I played, Dr. Round was in there, and this is the first time we've seen him play, really. And I was getting had. After watching the attempt right there, not mad about it. I mean, that's about as clean as you could ever ask for a 1v3 attempt. A lot of damage, just unfortunately not getting a full opportunity to convert any of the kills. So 4-4, tied game. 2 massive rounds back-to-back for the Liberty Flames. Looking to see if they can find a couple more in a row to maybe take this map away from Ohio State. But for the Buckeyes, showing a lot of restraint here offensively as they're trying to get a lay of the land before they make a move.
Rush actually opting in for the Krig 6 here. Wants to play this a little bit further of range. No, there's a trophy system in play over by Spiral. 2 Krig 6s actually. Really want this to be locked out from range are Buckeyes. Playing this coy though. Middle of the map is where Dr. Round is located at with the bomb, just trying to wait for a pick before they move on in, or a confirmation that a site would be easier to...
Yeah, they see Mental playing bottom side ring, so they're going to flip this bomb back over to A, but you need to get some pressure in the middle of the map here, because Trev is going to watch for defensive crosses, and no one has picked up the mid rocks. So as Roar gets taken out of cutout window, here comes the hit. Dr. Round, big 1v1. No, it's Curb to find the elimination. 25 seconds, bomb is down on the stairs. Curb able to get the full regen, knows that Trev is nearby, finishes that kill, keeps his life. No trade. Almost an opportunity for Curb to walk away with 3. But now desperate times try to call for desperate measures. But they come up extremely unsuccessful. And Liberty Red, all of a sudden on map point after 3 in a row.
3 in a row shift. And again, those adaptations, those small little adjustments to be able to make it, whether it's positioning or just flat out just winning your gunfight. So you're going to be able to find yourself in the lead for the first time in Search and Destroy here for Liberty Red. And in a great spot. Again, just... finding those openings where OSU are just not trying to deny the map and playing for the information. Liberty Red find themselves in an open avenue to put a submachine gun towards the middle of the map and just shut down the push. It's a thing to come on through. It's one of the biggest struggles for Search and Destroy, only having 1:30 left to play. But here we go. The map point. Liberty Red want to hit through money very quickly, but they're going to be met with a very swift death.
Look, I actually really respect the call from Liberty. They get the trophy system down. They're trying to cover information. The Semtex on the Cynical flushes him into money, but he plays it really well by just backing up, asking for help, and just doing what he can to stay alive. And he one-ups the requirement as he finds 2 kills. So now we go round 11, and it's going to be Liberty on the offense. What is going to be the play call here? Creativity be damned. You got to do whatever works at this point.
Like Mental wants to hit through the driveway over towards Spiral very quickly, have his trophy system to back themselves up in case the Semtex does come on through. They do have this van control, and all players, I mean, that's going to be minus Toddy, is going to be located towards the middle of the map, and just off the mini-map alone is about to be pitched, and Dr. Round will find that kill. So very quick kills coming on through. It's a 2v3 Liberty Red for this offense.
And Roar is completely trapped with Mental. He does find one exit, maybe an opportunity to get on a trap, but taken down to about a shot worth of health. Now for sure, just one bullet. He tries to mantle up, but not going to be successful. And the Buckeyes hold on, quite literally, to the round number 10, and then they're able to set themselves up accordingly to trap Liberty, and it really just came down to the 1v1 in the back from Dr. Round on the flank. If he gets taken down over there, Nah, no chance. Liberty opens up so much of the map, but that doesn't happen in this instance. So
Yeah,
we've gotten a competitive match here proper, but we're still threatening the potential of nothing but 3-0s so far in the Alpha stream.
but a competitive two maps that we just had. I mean, that Garrison Hardpoint was just so close until the final few hills. It was 3 rounds in a row for Liberty Red there on the Search and Destroy just to get had on the previous two for OSU Scarlet to be able to win out 6-5. They are 3-0s, yes, Shift, but they damned are competitive nevertheless.
Indeed the case. We'll take this as 5-minute pause here between map number 2 and our garrison control map number 3. If anything, hopefully to regain some confidence for the Liberty Red Flames because they need to find a way to get a reverse sweep against Ohio State. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back there, everybody. We're jumping map number 3, garrison control, and well, Ohio State is all over Liberty Red, but only just a touch, not super all over, just a little all over them. 250, 206, and then a 6-5 after we got onto the garrison hard point and the raid search and destroy here proper. So garrison control, that's going to have to be the start of a reverse sweep here for Liberty Red.
Yeah, and there's one thing that you have going for yourself when it comes to Liberty Red ahead of this Garrison control. Is back on the Garrison hardpoint. I mean, for OSU, I mean, they were in the lead for the first two hills, but then the submachine gun presence from Liberty Red would just really seemed unmatched. And you're going to have to be able to find that same success and more. Specifically looking at mental, if they can continue to go off and being able to find a handful of kills, 1-for-3 trades, especially on an offense for Garrison control, that would be a strong showcasing to how you can string together a few different zones. But if the AR presence, much like how we saw on that Garrison hardpoint, and hell, even when we were on that raid search and destroy coming out from the Buckeyes, then you might just be putting this one a little bit closer to the rest. Because, I mean, even some professional teams, as far as Garrison control is concerned, still really struggle with offensive rounds.
It's difficult. It really is difficult to break down what leads to successful offense simply because it's a laundry list of things that you have to do right. And once you do one thing wrong, you start all over again. You have to do it right from page one. So let's see what kind of preparation both of these squads have under their belt. And for Liberty Red, you're hoping you got a lot because you need to start making this reverse sweep come to life. One of the things we really kind of accredited for the Ohio State Scarlet team is the fact that their ARs were absolutely locking things down. There's got to be something that has to change here for Liberty in that regard, whether it's the ARs just winning those long-range battles or finding a way to get players like Curb up close and personal. And it's going to be up to the Flames to start things off on offense. And, of course, as naturally you would expect, they'll head over to B first.
Yep. All four players, not even a single player going over towards P4 by those dumpster bins to try to even threat themselves with a pop-up. More often than not results in a swift death unless you're literally have the server in your backyard. So, Liberty Red, at least we'll be here for the initial time, and we'll be able to stop the clock very early. The hit from Catwalk, not a successful one, but Toddy won't be able to stay alive for long. Great little retake at a last pixel effort before the B zone saw a first tick of progress.
That's a set play for Ohio State just to play the retake. They essentially come out of top comms. Nobody watches it. They dominate the bridge, and then they allow their SMGs and their ARs, for that matter, to just run right up, get over towards the mounting platform, and get right behind the play. So now they hold a 2 respawn advantage. A little bit of spawn pressure was established, but more importantly, they've already killed off a good 45 seconds or so worth of time. Roar up top trying to find an angle, but he'll be shrugged away. Rush looking for the opportunity of when to hit the go call to go up top and again play off the pinch. Dr. Round also pushing through vents, and once again, Liberty is essentially at a trapped stopping point. Curb and Toddy find a couple. That'll keep things a little bit more open, but 30 seconds to play, you've got to find some success, and they'll finally clear off Ohio State to start making some progress.
Gotta be careful with the players that it could contest this inside of lights. First player to be here might be Dr. Round Toddy, knowing that the last time they got absolutely mollywopped from top Catwalk is going to keep that in the back of their head. And you know, well, they will have some backup here as well, trying to stack this zone. Clock will be stopped again by 29 seconds. Here comes Dr. Round from the flank inside Dark. It's going to be good for 2 while Trev is able to take down Curb. Just going to be Mental that's left alive inside of lights to keep this clock stopped, but 2 ticks of progress over towards B with 25 seconds.
Mental's good for 2. That's the second tick of progress done. Third one on the way, but you still have Trev in the back. He's going to find a couple of kills. Mental required to win one more up front. Not going to happen. Roar, the last player. The Buckeyes don't want to challenge as of yet. The Semtex gets the job done. Do you try to touch this? The answer is going to be Rush says yes, but as he slides out for the challenge, he gets cut down, and we'll get an extra 60s on the clock. And beyond that, for the Liberty Flames, they've actually done well to marginalize the life lead. Now, granted, this attempt is not going to be all that successful for them, but if they can find a way to win some of these kills over through Cobble, they're not in a terrible position.
No, not at all. Again, like you were already noting, the respawns, not too far gone. So you can start to slow things down. You got to know that there's a player being rogue towards your back line. Their name is Dr. Round. Curb going to be able to take them out. But, I mean, for Ohio State University, they have themselves a really good setup to be able to meet Liberty Red as soon as they try to work their way towards this zone. And, well, their name is Cynical. With an XM4, had a fantastic opening hardpoint. 3 straight for this life. It's going to try to lock down top comms and going to be able to have some help over by the ramparts. Just 38 seconds remaining for Liberty Red to make a play over towards A.
This is a good setup, though, for a play. Mental's going to come on. He knows that Cynical's playing up top, but he was by himself. Would have really liked to see him wait for Curb right there because now Toddy has to make a solo play. He's not successful. Curb can't get the mantle up top. He also falls. Cynical, 5 kills in a row. How about 6? Sure, why not? Number 7, is it knocking at the door by the way of Mental? Very well could be. Takes the challenge, but a little bit over aggressive, isn't it? That's a life that you don't really need to spend. And now all of a sudden, as Mental and Toddy find a couple of kills, now Trev is forced to double down. He's only good for 1. So yeah, there's only 12 seconds remaining. No respawns for either team, but you've got Liberty on the zone at least.
Suntax gonna try to clear out the back satellite. Rush is good for Toddy, but quick trade over towards Roar. Again, no respawns remaining. 2v3 for the zone itself, and the numbers advantage will be here for Ohio State. They're being wise about this. You keep it contested for the time being before you start flooding over here inside of the zone. Mental's just trying to keep their life. Regen should be here, and it absolutely will be. Here comes Roar from top comms. Is able to lock down 1. It's just up to Trev for a 1v2. Is able to find Roar. Knows that Mental's on the backside of the satellite. Mental with the heady is going to try to find the kill, but Trev 4 breaks off just for the nick of time. But again, in this 1v1, Sun's going to come through.
Trev is going to be able to get that stun off. Trying to take the high ground. Mental down low. Gets into 1 bullet. Who's going to take the challenge first? Unreal scenes. It's a mistake first and foremost for the Buckeyes to even overchill up top here for Cynical. You know, he gets these kills from the hill. He gets a couple more from behind, but to slide out and take the secondary challenge is just not really all that required. It gives Liberty way too much of a chance, but that final chance does get cut a touch short.
How many times have we seen just control offenses just being able to be an offensive W just within about, I don't know, 2 seconds remaining inside the clock? About 10 seconds or less. And I mean, Liberty Red almost tacked their name towards that offensive long list. So won't be the case again. A little bit of overextension towards the end, but at least in a last member effort, Trev Ford is going to be able to ice up and be able to find those 2 kills needed. Hop on board with them to start off this offense for the Buckeyes. And, of course, nobody was surprised, looking like a B setup.
A lot of patience here for the Buckeyes. They've cleared a lot of decent space. Curb looking to hit the pinch. Who picks it up? It's going to be Trev initially. Wants to watch over Dr. Round. This is really, really good help, but Doctor doesn't need the help. He's got his PhD, all right? He's gone to school long enough. Apparently not, as he's obviously still in school, and then he obviously kills himself. So maybe there's a little bit of learning left to do. But for Ohio State, they're at least able to keep Rush alive. He tries to take a challenge down low. Todd, he's able to beat him there. Only 41 HP. It's an easy win for Liberty. And now they're, again, controlling the middle of the map.
Too many respawns gone, though. And I'd be hoping to stop this clock, but gotta worry about Mental in this off angle. Playing towards the center, and these tanks also has the tuck down and very interesting box that just try to cover them. Almost looking like Solid Snake there, just trying to hide themselves. But Liberty Red, though, not going to have to look for a retake over towards B, as OSU Scarlet will be here 2 players strong.
Toddy trying to watch Cynical in the middle of the map. He'll find it as he tracks back after finding Rush a little bit further forward. And for Ohio State, not a lot of success here offensively. And I think a lot of people would look at that and say, oh, well, Liberty's going to have a natural advantage. I mean, they almost won their last offense, but look at the lives. It's still only a couple of kills difference. Toddy and Curb still dominating the middle of the map. Mental just waiting for a challenger before he makes any kind of attempt to play further forward. And oh my goodness, does he read this player bottom vent? It's a hell of a read. 10 seconds to play, and for Ohio State, you really have a lot of room to, a lot of ground to cover. They will be able to touch here at the last second. Just comes down to how successful will this touch be. And well, actually, Roar takes the challenge instead of just contesting. So now all of a sudden you're stacking the zone. You're going to get the second tick of progress, and the third one's pretty imminent unless Toddy can blow things up from the back. He's good for 2. Rush for the kill. Another 1v2 in front of him. and Liberty will sustain the B zone and lock down their first defense.
And that's one of those times where it's a very high risk, and that's going to be the high reward that pays off. I mean, Itadi comes in through the back, doesn't find a single kill. They're good for the 2 there that you saw. But if they lose their life and then a couple more kills come through over inside lights, again, OSU, they were stacked inside that zone. That would have been a really scary spot to be in for Liberty Red, but luckily enough, Toddy comes in the back. It pays off. They're able to find the kills, and in a big 2 rounds going towards Liberty Red. Now looking for a reverse sweep here, or not, I'm sorry, not for a reverse sweep, but for Liberty Red, they're looking to string together a couple rounds. Their offense was just so close to being captured, and it just came down to a 1v1 versus Trev 4 over by that A zone. Going to be looking to get a leg up inside of this control so that way they can start doing the works of a reverse sweep here. It's going to have to start with the control here on Garrison.
Toddy, instant challenge is... Goodness, how about this push for Liberty? They're just going to get 3 players over to the A zone, and they take care of the player from behind. It's a little bit tough, though. Again, this is the one struggle about trying to go to A initially. You lose that one player watching your mid-pinch, and all of a sudden, it's just a free avenue to get into your spawn, and you're trapped on the A zone. So, yeah, you get a tick and a half worth of progress. Or no, pardon me, it's just a half of progress. I was going to say, it looked like for a second on the UI that it was all the way through. Yeah, a little bit of a Codcaster bug right there. Someone clip it and set it to Paradox. But that's not at all successful whatsoever. So now Liberty's in a really tough spot, and they really kind of, I won't say they're dug their own grave, but the shovel's out, that's for sure.
35 seconds left, and all players for the Buckeyes are just pushed up so far forward, just looking to get Liberty Red. The second that they try to work their way in through Dark, Trev 4 will read that that's where the hit's coming from. Has an isolated gunfight in front of him. Good health, though. So that way Trev 4 can keep their life. Read from the player hitting from the vents is going to be good for a kill. Big kills coming on through. It is a very big life lead. 6 in between OSU, Scarlet, and Liberty Red for the time being. Liberty Red just still struggling to work their way out from their spawn.
Yeah, it's a gamble stack. It's just, you know, we've watched a lot of Garrison control at various levels over the last couple of months, and the A zone is by far the hardest to take. Everybody knows that. If you've watched a single instance of any personal stream, scrims, CCL, CDL, challengers, everybody talks about how difficult the A zone is to get. And some people are sitting there saying, well, why don't we just try to go there first? If we get the more difficult one out of the way, then it's easy rolling. There's a reason why the A zone is so difficult to get. And when you lose that mid-map pressure, you cut off your entire team that's respawning from helping you onto the point itself. And that was indeed what happened right there. And so now Ohio State in a really good spot, not just up 2-1 going into this offense, but they hold a very significant life lead if we need a round 5 defense.
So it's all just about that, right? If you can't win this offensive round, you want to be able to hold the kill lead so that way you can set yourself up for defense, as it has been going back and forth defense for defense, as most Garrison controls typically be. But for Ohio State, Trev 4 pushed up very close, and also going to be looking at one towards spawn. Roar will get Trev 4 down. Would have loved to see them play their life a little bit longer so that way Ohio State could work their way back in here. But it's not going to be the case. More kills coming on through. Curb from top green is going to be good for 2 kills themselves. And Ohio State's first attempt as far as an offensive zone control, it's not going to be a good one.
Okay, Curb mid-map. Able to find one more elimination. And he's working this with Toddy. The SMGs, we asked the question, could they perform at a little bit of a higher level compared to what they did in the hard point? The answer has been very much so, yes. 19 and 16, 16 and 19. But look at the objective plays. 11 for Curb and 12 for Toddy. Last attempt here for the Buckeyes. Trev's able to find Mental at range. Curb still holding his life near the jump up. Red members all over the place. And at what point do you hit the go call? Because now you've actually just allowed your one kill you had to respawn in and be right here defensively. I think you're just taking too long, and they're just going to give this up and play for the round 5 defense. Wow, what a call this is for Ohio State.
Again, like I said, I mean, you know as well as I do, Alan, if you're not going to feel confident to give up lives, that's giving up kills. So that way Liberty Red could have potentially found themselves with enough to be able to get the defensive round win. So you just play for enough kills, you do the quick maths. Maybe you got your TI-87 right on your desk right there, TI-84. I don't know what you do math with these days. It's been a while for me, but still. Be able to read that just to know that you're going to be on the defense for the last round, that is a very heads-up play that we just don't see all too often.
No, I haven't yet to see it, honestly. Like, with that much time on the clock and only being down 2 lives,
Don't give him up.
I've never seen it. And it's not something that I think we could really be astonished by because we've talked about like, well, should you do that? You know, like we've talked about it before. But to see them try to execute off of it is definitely something different, to be sure. Tidy's going to see Trev's his backside here through the bottom part of bricks. It's a lot of B words that I stumble on. And he will find the kill. So now all of a sudden, this hit initially towards A. Well, it's grown some legs and it's sprinting forward. Nice shots there from Trev. Needed to get the kill, and Dr. Round from top side will get 2. But 2 ticks of progress, not bad. But again, this is not Black Ops 4. You can't just be okay with 2 ticks of progress because now you've got 60 seconds to try to convert the B zone, and Ohio State's all over the middle of the map.
Yeah, it's not Black Ops 4, sure as hell ain't frequency control where you're just stringing together zones left, right, and center. So now you're going to be looking towards potentially shifting the focus over towards the B zone, and respawns, I mean, as far as Liberty Red is concerned, not too far gone. So you just got to be able to find the kills. But, all right, Dr. Round on 4 straight, just absolutely electric on these defenses, huh? So, I mean, this is again, just being an absolute run-in to how Liberty Red just trying to work their way out from the zone. Quick weapon spot, not going to be good for Dr. Round as Curb finally takes him down. Curb's good for 2. Toddy finds a 3rd. This could be the opportunity now for Liberty Red just to try to stop this clock. But again, the only person that's close enough would be Curb here towards the A zone.
Yeah, and you have to, I think, play for A in some form. Big kill for Curb, 24 and 18. Also up top, Rush loses his life. He was trying to play the pinch. Trevor's good for a 1 kill, but not a second. So you've got pressure on both zones. The 3rd tick at progress at A is looking good, but Toddy, he watches Cynical fall as Cynical just let his finger off the trigger. So now it's down to Mental. Both zones are getting progress, and for Ohio State, they're going to try to just defend the 3rd tick at A. You had to make a call. And it's not a good decision that you want to be finding yourself in. But for Ohio State, they've put themselves really in a corner here.
Toddy hitting it from Kabul, has lockdown on a player from back satellite. And, well, some hits are actually going to come through from top green. Rush will be the last remaining player up here. Has Curb in front, has another player from Liberty Red not too far away as well. And those kills come through. The game is going to come out. And some might say karma is a female dog shift, and I would absolutely agree right there. As again, OSU wanted to play for the defensive side, and Liberty Red just absolutely come out swinging.
There's a lot to digest of what just happened between the end of round 4 and all of round 5 right there. But for me, the biggest kill, the biggest exchange that we had in that final round was Rush not finding a kill topside comms.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if he finds that kill comms, there's a pinch that allows Ohio State to come off their respawn and still have a position to where you can work from the high ground, and Liberty are essentially trapped. The A zone never even finds that bit of progress, forcing Ohio State to make a decision, but it didn't happen this time through. So for Liberty Red, they find themselves a 3-2, and that would have to be step 1 of a 3-step process for a reverse sweep in this matchup.
Yeah, and again, it's like we were poising just coming off of the Garrison hardpoint, one of which OSU Scarlet, again, was able to take 250 over to a 206 Liberty Red, is that the SMG presses, you get Curb in that position to where they're finding close-range gunfights, they're going to be able to turn that into a fantastic amount of map pressure, and that's exactly what happens, especially to couple along with Mental, as you saw there towards the end, to be able to start working that last tick over towards A. If you can't find those kills with an XM4 in close range against Curb with that AK-74U, yeah, things can get a little bit tough. Not to mention how Toddy and Roar were always being able to play their lives with the ARs in tow. That's a recipe for success as far as an offense is concerned, especially ahead of the Garrison control. But hardpoint on rate is where we're going to have to come through. And again, as far as SMG presence is concerned, I mean, if Red continue to play what we just saw in that offensive round shift, I think Ohio State Scarlet might have a little bit of run for their money here.
Could be. I mean, again, the first 2 maps, very competitive. The third one, also the same. Can't really complain about what we're seeing here on screen so far, but the raid hardpoint. How is this one going to fare for both of our squads? Because let's be honest, this map can be very swing heavy very, very quickly. I mean, the Garrison hardpoint was a tug of war. It was back and forth, back and forth. So a couple of great setups, a couple of decent break attempts, a couple of nice rotations, the response. What you want to see, really, from both sides. The ebb and flow of the map was actually pretty fun to watch. But as we go to raid, will that still be there, or will we see someone try to snowball this map out of control? Because you lose that rotation from 2 to 3, you could be down 120 points or so just like that. So We're just waiting in the lobby to get started up here. Again, you could kind of see some of what's coming up, not just here on the main stream, but also, again, we are running a second stream, the College COD Bravo stream, currently live for you guys as well. But our second matchup that's going to be coming after the conclusion of this one will be Mississippi State Maroon going up against the University of Tennessee Orange. Should be a pretty good one. I mean, both teams, again, sticking with us from last year going into this year. Both teams had some really decent playoff hopes and endeavors in the last season of season 2, looking to start themselves off with a, again, highly contested matchup here going into the opening stages of season 3.
Yeah, I think all three matches that we have on the docket for the Alpha stream, Alan, yeah, have the workings to be very good. You know, some people have been saying not the greatest things as far as PSU, apart from their fantastic performance last week. So that's one that I'm mostly looking forward to versus Concord Maroon for the third match. But I mean, not a 3-0 so far, my man. We have ourselves a fantastic setup for a great first series in the day here.
Indeed the case. Hearing that the lobby would not be actually ready for us yet, so we'll just take a brief pause. We'll take a little bit of a live look at what's happening on that Bravo stream. We'll be back as soon as map number 4 is ready for us right after this. Well, hell of a live look-in we just had right there. Sheridan's able to complete what looked to be a 3-0 versus Laurentian, and one of the new schools on the block in Tunes. We already know a lot about what Tunes has to offer. He transfers schools, and all of a sudden Sheridan looks like a major threat coming out of Canada. But getting into this one proper, Raid, Hardpoint, ready to go here is Liberty Red, forced to find themselves a reverse sweep. They've completed step 1 of this 3-step process, and this, of course, would be the next one up.
Yeah, and just Raid Hardpoint again. You know, we saw the Raid Search and Destroy went to a round 11, and as far as how we've had a lookout for the entire series so far, Liberty Red, as far as their SMG presence is concerned and their flexibility to be able to play throughout the entirety of the map, has been able to find themselves a lot of opportunities. Those were those breaks and those very unfortunate circumstances that they had themselves on the Garrison control to be able to find themselves in an offensive round win to start that 3-step process like you were talking about.
Ohio State already finding some success getting over to Spiral, spawning from the quote-unquote unfavored side. They're going to be forced to not just win this hardpoint, but try to push through. Roarer falls. Oh my goodness, Trev, how do you find that second kill? Was trying to help out Cynical for Toddy. It would have been an impressive 4 start for him, but the 3-0 just as good. Somehow still alive from Mental. Almost has a chance to fake the fight versus Curb, but how about Ohio State? 25 seconds of uncontested time in Liberty have been forced to spawn out.
We'll be spawning out, so for OSU Scarlet, again, in a great spot. Trev 4 finding those very early 2 kills, and is just not stopping quite yet as the AR lineup between Rush and Trev 4. So far, so good. Again, looking towards those P2 spawns will be in the favor for Ohio State. Rush 2 more in front of them is going to be good for both of them. That's a 5 spree. 5 straight for their second life.
5-1 for Rush, 4-1 for Trev. Here's kill number 6, maybe number 7. My goodness. I mean, that's a 1v4 situation right there. And Rush almost makes good on it, you thought, for maybe a moment. Toddy, Mental hitting the back. Trying to be picked up by the side of the Buckeyes. Rush good for 1, but tagged up so heavily that Toddy only needed a single bullet to get into him. Secondary challenge, good help coming from Curb as the tandem duo make their way forward. Toddy still good, and that will flip the spawns around and give Liberty a good chance at breaking in and securing a major part of this second hard point.
Yeah, it will be a major part. You can even see how Ohio State are playing this out. And you're going to put players towards the middle of the map. You're not going to fully invest all of your lives over towards this P2 break, especially now that we're inside scrap time. You basically want to set up for new. A couple players will work their way in here just to keep it contested for the time being. Mental's going to be good to take down Cynical, but that contested time is going to be given over, at least for Ohio State, for this rotation over towards new. But an opportunity does present itself for Liberty Red to hit it through the middle.
This is how you want to try to get here, and they've moved far enough to actually force Dr. on to spawn from behind. So if they can go quick enough, they very well may find some success to get in. But if they don't take the high route here and the fast route, they could be pinched from behind. But no, it's Roar for 2, Mental another, just down to Rush. He's able to find the first kill. Long range on the Mental. What a shot that is. He's going to find the third. It's a 1v4 for him, and he nearly converts again. Rush, 10 and 6. And for Ohio State, they'll use those kills as an opportunity to come right back on in. Cynical for a couple, but somehow, some way, Liberty is still holding, pending they can find a way to take down Rush. And they are just barely able to do it. 23 seconds to play on the hill.
So now you're looking towards the rotation over towards basketball courts. Again, Liberty Red, they do have numbers over here. 1 player blocking over inside jungle, and Curb will be here to soak up the last bit of scrap time. But for Ohio State, you were really hoping to at least get yourselves over here all the more sooner. Liberty Red are doing a good job of not only playing through the middle of the map, soaking up the scrap time, but they're also blocking spawns. So Ohio State, there will be spawning down towards P1, where they're going to try to flood in through the jungle side, and Roar is here. Roar is going to be good for 2 at least before Rush trades them out.
All right, Rush, 12-8 start. Coming down, he's got teammates with him. He's just going to hold the corner while the SMGs push on in. Mental Toddy, a little bit of traffic jam on the spiral stairs right there. Tried to back up with Rush, and he runs right into Trev, who's able to find his second kill. Spawns are still good for Ohio State, but in all of this process between 3 and 4, Liberty has snowballed, and another beautiful stun comes into play. Ohio State completely caught in the staircase once more. Rush is only good for 2, and now we're looking at the back 20 seconds, and Liberty are going to be the first ones to get over 100.
And this is why, Alan, Raid Hardpoint can be absolutely swing heavy. The Liberty Red through at least 2 hills, P2, and then in P3, they were there initially, and Ohio State were, and then Liberty Red just worked their way in. They just break it. They flip the hardpoint right on its head. Now they find themselves at a 30-point lead ahead of P5. So again, Ohio State, the Buckeyes, they are set up here first initially for this rock hardpoint. Just got to be able to keep your head on a swivel for all the pinches and all the hits that could end up coming through.
Yeah, I just want to see more of Rush setting himself up here because he has taken over this game at times. 14 and 10, soaking up some free time right now while Cynical watches over the top of him. Dr. Round hitting a pinch. There's 1. That should be 2. No problem. And this is the big... We've seen a lot of teams in the last couple of weeks really do a nice job of making this 5th hard point a full 60. Because if you set something up like this, you're forcing the side of Liberty to spawn top left corner, which is the last place that you want to be. So scrap 20 coming into play. Dr. Round's on now 6 in a row. It was a 4 and 9 start for him, and all of a sudden he's positive with 40 seconds of hill time.
Yeah, the 6 free has been influential to the success here on P5 for Ohio State. Scarlet team just doing a good job, just bringing themselves back after Liberty Red have broken a very strong setup for Ohio State, 2 hills over. So in swords, a second set we go. Very close between these 2 teams, as the opening hardpoint on Garrison was as well. Now, you're going to really be battling for these P2 spawns. Player number 7 of Mental was trying that, but Dr. Round inside jungle is going to be good. Cynical will find 2 themselves, now up at 12 and 12. Time's going to be soaked up here. 40 seconds remaining inside of P1. Liberty Red going to split their focus. Some players trying to hit towards Kitchen, where Toddy's going to be able to take down Dr. Round.
Cynical tagged up really heavy, has to try to play his life. Dr. Round spawns up right inside of Laundry. Toddy looking to see if he can check anyone on the cross. Rush playing from inside the hill with an M4. Able to help out Cynical for 1, and actually Cynical finds a second that was also threatening the contest. So now all of a sudden, Ohio State has found, 50 seconds on P5 and 40 plus here at least.
Yeah.
This is a hell of a swing.
I mean, but it's something that, for Liberty Red, it's a really tough spot to be in, right? Because you want to try to battle for P2 spawns, but you also want to at least send 3, if not 2 members to try to keep P1 contested. They're unsuccessful in both. And so that's going to leave Ohio State Scarlet with this very big lead, 70 points and growing here sometime soon. Now that they have a very strengthy setup for P2, you got players looking back towards jungle, and that's exactly where Liberty Red are hoping to hit it from.
Nah, Rush, beautiful transfer, finds 2. Roar needs to play his life. He'll do himself one better by getting the Semtex, but Cynical was there to help out just in case. 6 kills now in a row for Cynical. And I feel like every time we look up into the OSU scoreboard, someone's on a streak of 4+. So, I mean, Liberty, they played pretty darn well, but they're getting put down by the 3 M4s of Ohio State. We haven't really spent a lot of time talking about that, but it's only Dr. Round running an SMG. Everyone else is just abusing the M4 right now, and it's paying off in massive ways.
Yeah, it rates one of those maps so you can find a lot of value with that AAAR setup, right? You got those medium range engagements. It's also really good to spray up close, a 74U just for those breaks, and Dr. Round is playing that role wonderfully. It allows for Ohio State to continuously work their way inside these hills, and just like what you saw right there, even though Liberty Red were initially here for the setup of P3 this time around, it's OSU. They're able to do it. Just 9 seconds needed to close the game.
Nice pinch again. Dr. Round almost lines up the 3rd of the 4th. Cynical will try to take over where he left off. Curve and Roar have to touch, and as they get there, they're met with the fury of the M4's. Curve, what happened? That is not something you'll see Curb do often, but oh my, Cynical. And then this play, this was right off the rip really from Rush. Nice little finesse, reads the second player. Beautifully done there. How about the pistol? Never mind, I'll just get the reload and then find more as he goes to work again.
I mean, just to gas them up one more time. I mean, for Ohio State, just to come out of the gates with 3 ARs, the one SMG setup with Dr. Round, they were breaking those hills open, especially in that second set, almost like they were running 3 SMGs.
For
They,
real.
they were fast. They were really dictating the pace, and it's quite literally the opposite of what happened in the first set of hills. Liberty Red, in between Mental and Curb, were just flying through the entirety of the map, and it's exactly what we saw success from Liberty Red on that Garrison hardpoint. But once that first set was done, OSU Scarlet, they just were able to sit there and just be like, okay, well, we can go ahead and just play these positions. We can read from laundry. We could read through the middle of the map inside the second set of hills every single time Liberty Red attempted to try to work through any part of the middle of the map over towards Spiral. Unsuccessful, and they couldn't even keep P1 contested. It, what was it, like 85 points in between P5 and P1 that OSU Scarlet
Yeah,
was
at
successful
least.
in, and that's what you get from having those triple ARs. Wonderfully executed.
Wild stuff. But we've heard the gas about what this Ohio State Scarlet team has to offer, and we're seeing exactly why. And to be fair, Liberty gave them flat out a hell of a run for their money in the first couple of maps. But this one, again, like you mentioned, that little 80 to 90 point spree that the Buckeyes went on would just be way too much to overcome. So
Yep.
we're going to send things to a break. While we're away, we're going to get things set up for a battle down south. Mississippi State, the Maroon team, going up against the University of Tennessee at Knoxville and their Orange squad. Visions will be on the cast to join me, and we'll be seeing Proper and McCormick later for our third and final matchup of the evening. Concord Maroon playing Penn State. High action here on the Alpha channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.